Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you got done watching the previous video, which is actually on the computer uploading right now. It is November the 5th. As you saw, I got the fuel pump installed. Way easier to do without that forward skin on right now. I got it plumbed and wired. More work still has to be done down there. There's a few things I want to tweak. I also need to add provisions for the return line, so I need to buy a few fittings. So that's that. Next up in the reassembly, it's going to have me start putting on the forward side skins. You saw in the last video I got them prepped with the stiffeners. I'm going to skip that for right now. I've been watching Michael Foss's build on his website, and he did the same thing. These forward skins overlap these mid skins right here, so they can go on pretty much any time, as long as I don't populate these rivet holes over here. So I'm going to skip them for now. I'm going to jump to the step where I continue building up the tail skin, or the tail cone, mainly to give me time to sort out the rest of the systems, like the brake lines and stuff that's going to go up here. I've got way easier access with that open right now. Also, because the upper longerons are installed, they stick way out past the end of the fuselage right now, and I've got them somewhat perched on a sawhorse in a box just to keep them from flopping around and possibly getting bent. But they terrify me because anybody that walks through there can catch them. Ask how I know. Possibly knock the fuselage down or bend something. So I'm going to continue with the steps, starting with the tail cone. We're going to finish reattaching all of that stuff and see how far we get with the riveting and all of that. I do need to do some more research on the brake lines and some other stuff I need to install up here, so I can get this closed out at some point as well. But yeah, reassembly is going along. It's coming out really well. So far, everything lines up like it's supposed to. But I think one of the very next steps is to reinstall that bulkhead that I had to buy the new part for. So that's going to be the real test. Does that thing fit like it's supposed to? Anyways, stick around. VoiceOver Tim will get you caught up on what happens or what does not happen. You know the routine, and I will see y'all later. All right, it's voiceover time. So that bulkhead, if you remember, I screwed up the left half of that and had an accidental double set of holes drilled in it when I did the first fit up. So I replaced it. This is the new one. I just final sized the holes that came pre-punched in it and dimpled them. And this is me fitting it up to make sure it actually lines up. And I'm happy to say it does. The only 3 holes I didn't drill yet are for the longerons that go through it, because they go through tabs that don't have pre-punched holes. You have to final size those, or you have to drill those in place with the longerons. So now that I got it clecoed in, I'll get the drill. There you go. And I'm going to drill through those 3, which now means I got to pull it back out, deburr it, dimple it, and then it's good to go. Overall, pretty easy fix. Wasn't that expensive of a part either. So, like it never happened. I'm so happy that it went back in there smoothly. This gives you a good angle. You can see the Cerakote finish that's on the forward skin, or sorry, the mid skins right there, along with the darker Cerakote that's on the armrests. Really like how that combination's coming out. Think it looked good. It's definitely holding up really well, so we'll see how it works on the rest of it. Anyhow, now that this thing's in, I need to rivet the seat ribs to that bulkhead, those end ribs to the bulkhead right there. And all those rivets on the outside edge are going to have to come back out because, or not rivets, the clecos on that outside edge are going to have to come back out because I got more skins I got to slide underneath all of that. They're just there right now to hold this in place so I can get these ribs riveted in. And as always, get what you can with the squeezer. Inevitably, there's some you can't reach, and you just got to get the rivet gun out. Happy to say the squeezer is working like it should be again. That's not to say it hasn't had its problems. It's still doing a few weird things, but nothing too bad. At this point, I'm just kind of hoping it makes it to the end of the build. It would be nice if the company that makes it made like a rebuild kit for it or something that came with all new O-rings or something like that, or even a service where you can send it in. I might have to try and call them again and find out if I can do such a thing, because I'm pretty sure this thing needs a little bit of refreshing. Okay, so briefly, I moved to the front to look at getting those brake lines installed, because that's all I'm really waiting on to put these forward skins on. So right now I'm putting in the nut plates so I can temporarily mount the brake reservoir right there. But then I quickly realize a couple of things. One, I don't want to try and have to fabricate all of those lines. They're hard lines. They come up through the gear towers and then come around to a bulkhead fitting. And then from there, Van supplies you with these, I'm sure they're Teflon, but I'm going to call them plastic. But these plastic tubes that go from the bulkhead fitting down to the brake pedals, master cylinders. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm sure it works fine. Plenty of people have it. It's probably plenty durable. I just don't like the idea of plastic lines that could or could not get brittle being my source of supplying brakes. So I broke down and called up, or didn't call, I emailed TS Flight Lines, and even though they don't have it advertised on their website, they do have standardized kits for RV-8s. They just don't have it on the website right now because RV-8s are so customizable that it's kind of hard to put something out there that's standard. Told them what I'm going with for gear legs, and I ordered the entire fuselage brake line kit from them. The only part I don't have that's not coming with the kit right now that I'll get later are the lines that'll go from my gun drilled legs to the brake calipers, but that's because the brake supplier offers two different kinds of mounting brackets, and you have no idea which one you're going to get from Vans until you get your finishing kit, which I don't have yet. So those lines will have to wait, but the rest are on their way. Once they get here, I'll get those installed, all the brake lines run and everything else, and then I'll get those forward skins clecoed into place. I was briefly contemplating permanently riveting the mid skins and the tail cone now and then riveting on those forward skins later. I have since changed my mind on that, partially because you have to flip the fuselage upside down and put it on sawhorses so you've got easy access so somebody can shoot the rivets from the outside and somebody can buck the rivets from the inside. Now you can see me unwrapping the new dash parts for the damage I caused to the car with the sandblaster. Anyhow, if you didn't see that video, go back and look at it. It's funny. Back to the fuselage. I chose not to do that right now because with the forward skins off, the upper longerons are in tension, but if I flip them upside down onto sawhorses, they're going to be in compression, and the chance that they could bend or get bent seems pretty high to me. I could temporarily cleco the skins on and help hold some of that stress, but I'm really not in that big of a hurry, so I'm just going to go ahead and wait. Hopefully next weekend I'll get that done, and I have already secured guest help that you all know to come help me rivet those on. Somebody you all haven't seen on his own channel in a while. That's all I'm going to say about that. So these are the baggage ribs. You see me clecoing and riveting on the angles that go on those. Since I'm not doing anything else on the forward side, I decided I'd finish building up the tail cone, at least get it all riveted in place, because as I said before, those longerons are just kind of hanging out there in space right now, and I don't want them to get damaged. I am leaving for a work trip this week, so hopefully all this stuff comes in while I'm gone. I'll be back by the end of the week, and I can continue on. There will be another video coming out midweek. I actually already have all the footage. I'm going to produce it here in a little bit, and I'll set it to release midweek. And it's going to cover a modification that I did to one of the forward skins. Might be controversial to some, might be a great idea to others. We'll see how it pans out, but for me it works, and you know me, it's my airplane. I'm going to do what I want, and hopefully it all pans out in the end. Anyhow, getting back to this, we're getting these baggage ribs riveted. And once these are on, then it's going to be time to start attaching the side skins. But first I have to back rivet the mid braces on those things. Here's the box with the holding up the longerons. So the plans tell you to back rivet these angles, these mid angles on, which provide some structure and some support to these side skins. Since I remembered I can rivet with my C-frame, I decided that was a much better way to go, and I was 100% right. The C-frame made this much, much easier because these skins are so awkward and floppy. All I had to do was get a little support on the bench, and even without the spring-loaded back riveting cup on there, you really don't need it because with both hands free, you can hold the part with one hand and the part you're riveting with the other and hold them together and just run right down the line and squeeze them. And that made short work of it, and they are all perfectly set rivets. And just peel the tape off and move on to the next ones. If you've got somebody to help you, definitely get help with these skins if you can. I can't stress enough just how kind of unruly these ones are with how long and floppy they are. It is manageable. You can do it by yourself, especially with adequate benches, but the fear of them bending around the corner wrong or hitting something or anything, just terrifying. Thankfully, none of that happened. I was as careful as I could be with them all. And yeah, they are good to go. That is me drilling out the rivets I wasn't supposed to populate where the bulkhead stations have to go. And the plans clearly tell you not to do that, but I was on a roll with riveting and didn't think about it. Okay, so again, a second set of hands would be helpful here. Putting these on and getting them hung and tucked under that edge can be done by yourself. It's a little difficult. I did this one by myself. Thankfully, the other side, my son had come out to the garage and gave me a hand, and that one went much, much smoother. All right. This is the second to the last bulkhead that goes in the tail section, and I'm getting the horizontal stab attachment bars permanently riveted to it now. And then after that, we're going to go on to the tail spring and get that, or the tail spring mount and get that bolted in. It's so nice to see this stuff finally coming together permanently. Also, I've had a realization recently. Another reason I'm kind of trying to slow down. I'm going to get to a point here real soon, I think, where the production's going to slow down along with the videos because I'm going to need to wait on buying some expensive parts to move on to the next kind of steps. And we'll see when we run into that wall, but hopefully when I do, you all bear with me because the videos will slow way down as I can afford to buy, bits of avionics or the landing gear legs that I want to buy and stuff like that and get that stuff mounted. But I promise work will not stop. We will continue, and this thing is going to cross the finish line. Now there you can see the, I think they're AN4 bolts that attach that spring or spring mount. Get those attached, get them torqued in place. And here's where I'm making another mistake. I'll point this out to y'all. This is the 810 bulkhead, I think. And the very last one is 811, or maybe I have them backwards. I can't remember. But the plans tell you to mount it to that aft belly skin. But what they meant was mount the aftmost one first to the aft belly skin. Then you mount this one. I got them mixed up because it has you bouncing between the parts. And it only makes a difference when it comes to 2 inboard rivets on that aft bulkhead when it goes in there. And I'll mention it when I get to that part here in a second. But for now, I'm just going to happily rivet this in. And like everything else, if you can reach it with the squeezer, reach it with the squeezer. Just don't forget, don't do that top row where the skins overlap and has to get a rivet in later on, and longerons have to go in there. Don't put rivets in there. Just leave clecos in there. That way you're not even tempted. Here I am checking the squeezer, making sure I can get it in on the first few rivets, and I can, so I'm happy about that. And now here I go doing exactly what I told you not to do. Don't put rivets in those holes yet. I will figure it out fairly quickly and get them back out of there. I'm even looking at it. You saw I put the clamp on there, and I'm trying to figure out why there's such a big gap between the little tab and the skin. Well, there's a gap because there's supposed to be a longeron in there. So wouldn't be one of my videos without mistakes, and hopefully any of y'all out there doing the same thing can learn from my mistakes and make all new mistakes of your own. So by any means necessary is the task at hand to get these rivets in. Going around this curved surface and getting down in there is a combination of the squeezer, the rivet gun, the bucking bar, and I think here in a minute you're going to see me get out the offset back riveting set as well as the back riveting plate. So I probably used every single method to correctly set all of these rivets. And nothing is wrong if it gets you the result you need. Yep, there's the back riveting plate. And there's the back riveting set for the bottom couple of rivets. Happy to say they are all in there now, though, and they all look really good. Everything's set really nice. All right, so now I'm working on that aftmost bulkhead, and where I have those clecos on the inboardmost side next to the tail spring mount, I haven't realized it yet, but I'm about to. The reason you put this one in first, then the other one, is with the tail spring mount in the way, you can't get a bucking bar in there to get those 2 inboardmost ones. You can get all the others. All the others are perfectly fine, but those 2 on either side of that tube, you just can't reach. So I was faced with drilling everything out and taking it all back apart and doing it the other way. Or what I ultimately did, I upsized the holes to number 30 and I put some countersunk pulled rivets in to finish it out. Should be structurally fine, and it is literally the back bottom of the plane, so never going to be visible, and even if it is, it looks just fine. So modern solutions for modern problems. Now we get the tail spring mount riveted in the back end there. And those are just keeper rivets. I believe there's bolts that go in there as well later on that get final drilled into place. But now you take those lower longerons and you slide those in. And I clecoed it in just to kind of hold it there while I move this thing around, but you can't slide this into position with those clecos in place, so they'll have to come back off. This is way easier to get this back in. I know somebody was struggling with the previous step where you are mocking all this up and you got to pull parts of that that belly skin back out to final drill stuff and then put it back in, and that's a real pain in the ass. This was way, way easier. Once it goes back in, it's in and it's easy. This process of putting that in first, then putting the belly skin on and not having to slide one into the other really, really made that a whole lot easier. All right, jumping around just a little bit just to move this along so you don't have to watch me put all those clecos in. We'll get you a better camera angle as I get in here and get the rest of the bulkheads put in place, clecoed, and then we'll crawl back in there and I will rivet those baggage ribs to that bulkhead. So here's a good view of another, I guess, sort of mistake, just considering how I'm finishing out the plane, that I didn't catch until this was all together. That's the baggage compartment you're looking at now. The little bucket of clecos there is sitting in the baggage compartment. There's a shelf that goes in there, and I can't remember if it drops down in the front or not. But for all intents and purposes, that entire section is the baggage compartment. Note that I did not scuff and Cerakote those skins in there or those stringers, longerons. I didn't think about it because I didn't think they were visible. I thought it was all tail cone. To include, if you look up towards the mid skins there, you'll see an inch of those side skins that are not finished, that are shiny, sitting on top of the nice Cerakoted finish in the mid skins. Once it was together and I identified it, I didn't like it, so I went into the fuselage with some Scotch-Brite pads and some alcohol and some acetone, and I scuffed everything up and cleaned it all up, including that edge. I unclecoed that side just so I can get some space in there, and then taped everything off that I didn't want that lighter gray Cerakote on, i.e. the armrest and things there. And then late at night, went back in there, fully gusseted it up with my respirator and everything else, and Cerakoted all of it. So now the baggage compartment skins, those mid-longerons, and that little shiny strip you see inside the midsection are all Cerakoted, and it all looks really nice. I wish I had gotten a picture. I didn't think about it for this video, but you get the idea, and I'm sure you'll see it again here soon on other things. So I left the camera there for this view. You see I'm struggling with that belly skin. This is another spot where having two people would be nice because you got to tuck it under that forward belly skin edge and around everything else and then kind of get it all lined up. It took a while, but I finally got it. It's all clecoed in and it all looks great. So I know this was a little bit longer. It was a lot of stuff. Believe it or not, there's even more stuff that's going to come out in that second video here that'll post a few days after this one. So I hope you stuck around to the end. As always, I'll throw some pictures up here at the very end for you. One that shows this seam line over here came out really nice. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all of the support. I have it on good authority that the podcast is going to be coming back again soon, so stick around for that. And yeah, you know the routine. I will see you all on the next one.